The Where Our Minds Wander podcast may contain sensitive content and explicit language. Listener discretion is advised.
Next up on the program is Beth, and she is calling in today from upstate New York. Her, along with her husband, they're podcasters. They do a show called Where Our Minds Wander. Or wander, I should say, and she's going to tell us about that. But first, she's going to tell us about a very haunted story about a haunted bed and breakfast, and she even brought along some EVPs. Beth, welcome to the show. Tell us what happened.
Well, thank you, Jim. Thank you for having me. So, 2 summers ago, before we even started our podcast, my husband Wes and I decided to cross an item off our bucket list and stay in a reportedly haunted bed and breakfast. And my parents live fairly close to Gettysburg. So we thought, kill 2 birds with 1 stone, and we could visit them and we could stay in this inn. So I did a little research and I booked 2 nights in the Hetty Shriver room at the Tilly Pierce House Inn, which is right in downtown Gettysburg. And I had picked it because the reported hauntings were of a ghost cat and apparently unexplained footsteps in the attic. And I thought that sounds pretty tame for our first foray into a haunted place, so we'll give it a try. So just a little background. Tilly Pierce was 15 during the Battle of Gettysburg, and her parents were worried about her safety. So they allowed her to go with a neighbor, Hetty Shriver, to the Shriver farm, which unfortunately just happened to be at Round Top, which is where most of the skirmishes took place. So instead of keeping her safe, they actually put her in the middle of the battle. And at 15, she ended up nursing hundreds of wounded soldiers at this farmhouse. But back at her parents' house, which is the inn now, her mother secretly let in wounded Union soldiers, and so they kept them in the basement. And she and Margaret, who was Tilly's older sister, nursed these soldiers back to health. So at night, they would all hide in the basement during the day. But at night, Mr. Pierce would go up into the attic with a Corporal O'Brien, and they would look for sharpshooters. And I guess there's 17 bullet holes in the house from crossfire. And there was also a Colonel Colville who spent a couple months there recuperating, and he stayed in the room that's now the Hetty Shriver room, which is the one that we booked. So Wes and I got to the inn, and we wanted to relax for a little bit because it was a long drive. And so I found the guest book in the room, and I was just kind of flipping through it. And most of the people's stories that they wrote down, their little encounters, were about this ghost cat and how they would wake up feeling like there was a cat like kneading the blankets on them. And some of them said they even heard purring. So I thought that's, it's pretty tame. I think we're going to be all right. So we decided to go out and do the sightseeing thing. And Wes went down to the lobby ahead of me, and I came out of the bathroom and I was zipping up my suitcase. And from behind me, I heard this really loud, exasperated, like annoyed, "Oof." And I kind of froze. And I thought, okay, I flushed the toilet a couple minutes ago. The water's not running, but it's an old building. It was a leaky pipe. I'm not going to think too much of it. So we went out and we did our thing, and we came back around 10 o'clock at night. And when we came into the house, there was one other couple in the lounge, and they were playing cards. And the owners of the inn don't stay on site. They leave in the evening and they come back in the morning. So after talking to this couple, we realized they were the only other people staying in the house, and they were on the other side of the house. So we went up to our room and we got ready for bed. And Wes said, we're in a haunted bed and breakfast. Let's put out our DVR recorder and just play it. Just let it run all night and see if we catch anything. And I was like, okay. So he turned it on and he put it on the dresser, which was across from the bed. And we got in bed and we fell asleep. And I remember thinking right before I fell asleep, I feel so cozy and comfortable. Like, I don't have a haunted vibe in this room at all. And I don't think it's haunted. And I fell asleep. So we don't know exactly what time it was. It was sometime between 3 and 4 a.m., we're guessing. But we both woke up to the sound of our bedroom door shutting.
Ooh.
Which we had locked. And then we both heard the procession of the floor creaking from the door all the way around to the foot of our bed. And then it stopped.
Whoa.
And I thought, oh my gosh, somebody broke into our room. But it was light enough and we could see the outline of everything in the room. There was absolutely nobody standing there. And so Wes next to me, he was like, was that you? And I said, no. And he said, did you hear that? And I said, uh-huh. So I was pretty much frozen. And he goes, well, that was pretty cool. And he turned over and went back to sleep. So when we got back home, we were super excited to listen to the recording because we thought, maybe we caught the sound of the door and the creaking floor on the recording. So, it's 8 hours, a lot of snoring, and we listened to it, and what's on the recording is not what we heard at all.
Yeah, you sent us a couple of clips. Would you want us to play the first one now?
That would be awesome. Thank you.
This is called, well, I'll play it for you, then I'll tell you what it's called. Here it is. Sounded like steps to me, appropriately enough. It's called Tilly EVP Walking. Tell us about that one, Beth.
Well, when I listen to it, I clearly hear the door opening and shutting. And then when it's walking, to me, it either sounds like trousers brushing against each other or a skirt, like a Civil War era skirt swishing as it's going by. But there's no creaking floorboards.
Well,
and that's all we heard in real time.
Well, let's listen to it one more time, if we would. Very interesting. Then you have another one now. We should say Wes makes a special appearance on this one. He gives an audio contribution. Maybe you can set this one up and tell us what we're about to hear.
Thank you for not blaming it on me. So, like I said, we had like 8 hours of recording, and he actually heard this before the door opening and shutting. And we think it's a voice. We heard it 3 separate times in a span of about 4 hours, not in real time, only on the recorder. But we think it's a voice saying one word.
All right, here it goes. What's the word?
Wes thinks it says mama.
Yeah. And I heard that twice in that file.
Yep.
Yeah, there's a pause after the snoring. Then it's like, or something like that.
Yeah.
Something along that line.
That's the one that creeps him out the most. I personally found the whole walking thing really creepy, but also just astonishing.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I'm always fascinated when we can get EVP. So what happened after that strange night?
We talked about it in the morning and that was it.
That was it. But surely enough, it lived up to the reputation of being haunted, and you've got the EVP to kind of back that up. Well, thank you for sharing that. Now you've got great audio, by the way, and rightfully so, because you and Wes are podcasters. You have this program called Where Our Minds Wander. So where can people find it? It's
every week. And it's on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. And basically, each episode, Wes and I pick a separate topic. The majority of those topics are under the supernatural or paranormal umbrella. So we do a lot of hauntings and UFO encounters and cryptids. But our minds also wander to other places. So we like morbid history and strange disappearances. So anything that's interesting to us, we kind of put it all together into a 30 or 40-minute show each week.
Well, everybody, check it out, Where Our Minds Wander. And Beth, thank you for sharing your story and your EVPs, and stay spooky.
Stay spooky, Jim. Thank you so much.